Wow. Hey, how's it going, guys? This is the first time I've done any of this stuff, so bear with me because I may fumble and disconnect or anything. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me all right? Somebody let me know if you can actually hear me through this microphone or if I'm just talking into nothing. That's entirely possible too. Okay. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. I actually wanted to do this a while back for 25,000 subscribers, and then things really got rolling quickly, and now we're here at 35,000, which is pretty impressive, especially when you consider that back last summer I hadn't even hit 10. So I don't know what I did, but I must have done something right. So here we are now. That shake is really obnoxious. This is all through my computer, and just trying to do the best I can here. So 27-minute wait. My goodness. Well, all right, Eric, since you've been waiting for 27 minutes, if there's any question that you have or you want to just say what's up, we'll start with you. I see that there's already a question out there about shoe trees. The first thing, shoe trees really kind of they fit they do two things. They help keep the shape of your boot, and they also suck out any kind of moisture and the just cedar in general. That's why you see cedar closets and cedar hangers, and people will line their closets in cedar boards to keep out any kind of vermin. It's a very, I don't know, I don't want to say hypoallergenic wood, but it's a very sanitary wood, so that's why they use it. So what you can do is you can actually you can use the newspaper thing. I actually do that a lot because I mean, with the boots that I have in my rotation, I really have. If I went and bought shoe trees for every single pair I had, it would just be a huge, enormous bill. So I don't do that. What I'll usually do is use the newspaper trick. And since my rotation is, I sometimes don't even wear the same boot every week. Uh, but for my really, really good ones, the ones that I want to keep nice, for example, these MYGs that I actually have the video coming out next week. These are $900 boots, so I want to make sure I keep those nice. They're custom made to my foot. I don't want to mess those up. There's the Knicks prototype sitting back here. So yeah, I really think that if you look at cedar shoe trees, and they're not very expensive. Mass Drop just had some, but if you're looking at cedar shoe trees, they're great. But in a pinch, or just as an alternative, newspaper will do some of the things that cedar will, but without the the fuss and some of the prestige of cedar. So yeah, Escobar style. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thursday boots. I don't want to go too into detail with this, but I'm really become a skeptic as far as Thursday is considered. I started off doing a review of their Chelsea boot, the Duke, a while back. When I had reviewed that, I had it for a couple of weeks. I really liked the boot, and over time, as you see in my 1 year review, they just totally went flat. And since then, I've had some fun at their expense on Instagram, poking fun at them, and it's really in a lighthearted manner. I don't wish any brand to to not succeed unless they're really just bad guys. But there's been some quality control issues brought up from other users who have sent me photos of the healing nails coming through the heel into the footbed, coming out the bottom, places where just things are falling apart a lot quicker than they had intended. So I like to use them sort of as a I have some fun at their expense. Let's just say that. So uh, Eric, we talked on Instagram. I I talk with so many people. It's really, if I don't remember you off the bat, it's nothing personal. I try to talk to everybody who can take the time and puts the effort forth to talk to me, just in respect. I don't remember everybody, and it's just help me jog my mid-30s memory, which is failing me very quickly. Yeah, this is the wool jacket right here. It's an incredible coat. I can't say enough about it. I know that the price point is way up there, and I totally get that because people balked at. I have sitting over in the corner. That's why I'm looking. You can't even see it. I have my free note cloth jacket, which was $400, and it's a great jacket. But when you're talking about something that's in the thousands or multiple thousands of dollars, I know it's a hard pill to swallow. Uh, but the idea here again is eventually getting to the point where you buy better so you can buy less. So really, for all intents and purposes, my coat issue is solved. If I don't ever have to buy another coat in my life, this one right here, as long as it holds up and I take care of it and everything, will do just fine. So that's kind of the idea. Now, that's that's a nice fantasy. Most of us, and being in this business, uh, it's natural that you're going to get other things. So I mean, yeah, that's a great coat. I love it. I wear it all the time, but I know I'm going to get more coats because I'm in this space and I love that kind of thing. So it's an investment piece. But I'll tell you this much: if I had to get rid of all of my coats and keep one, that would be the one right there. So through my experiments and my experiences, I try to provide you with something that you can buy, which you'll have for a long time and be able to enjoy. So that's the service that I hope I'm providing. Sometimes we can disagree, and I could be wrong, and I'm fine with admitting when I'm wrong, which is probably more often than I know. My kids are in the background. If you hear that, that's what that noise. I think they're watching Frozen. Uh, Uh, nice, Sean. Yeah, a pair of Thorogoods. My uncle is a union crane operator in the city, and he loves his Thorogoods. Can't say enough about them. Absolutely loves them. And everybody who has them speaks very highly of them. I actually never tried some on my own, but I would like to, and I know that people really enjoy them quite a bit. Tristan, recommendation for Henleys. This is interesting actually because you can buy expensive Henleys, right? And it's great. It's just like anything else. You kind of get out what you put in. And to a point, you when you spend money, you get an increase in quality until we get to that point of diminishing return where you spend more, but you're getting a little bit less, and then a little bit less, and a little bit less. And that's the same way for almost anything. And I got to tell you this is a confession of mine. I don't spend much money on t-shirts or Henleys or anything like that because I trash them. Same thing with polos. I just can't bring myself to buy a nice, $100 polo because I know I'm going to destroy it. I wear them out on the job site. This is kind of, I'm not really sure if I've articulated this very clearly in videos before, but when I put something on, and I'm going to wear it. I want to make sure that I can do whatever I'm going to do throughout the day in that outfit. Okay. So now that's suits and nice things aside. That's you have to be able to dress for the occasion. But on a typical day, I probably will be, riding my motorcycle out in the garage doing something, maybe things around the house, maybe shooting a video, taking the kids to the park, any number of things. So my shirts really go through hell. The kids spill things on them. I spill things on them, kind of a slob, working out in the garage, just doing household chores, they get destroyed. So what I ended up doing was I actually went to Gap, and Gap recently had some, I think, in their outlet, and I will find the listing for these worn in or whatever they call them. I think they're called lived in Henleys, and they're 3-button Henleys. They actually have a little bit of distressing to them, not like jean distressing, but it doesn't look like brand new fabric. It again, that's their kind of lived in look. They're a little bit worn and they are super comfortable. It's almost like a brushed kind of surface. Very, very comfortable, very affordable. So I believe they were under $20 a piece. I bought like 5 of them because I know that I'm gonna wear them. As a matter of fact, if you want to see one of these Henleys that I'm talking about, I wore the green one in one of those Q&A videos that I did recently. So that's one right there. Again, I'll find the exact model if you're interested. But places like Gap, places like along that caliber where you're not getting junk, it's a mid-level kind of thing, like a store brand type of thing. I think it's well worth it. I would rather spend my money on boots, denim, outerwear, stuff that I know I'm gonna have for a long time, rather than t-shirts, Henleys, stuff like that. Now, I'm sure there are some great Henleys out there, great t-shirts, great polos, and maybe someday I'll try them. But for the right now, I know how much I kill these things. When I come home from work, a lot of times I go and I have a little home gym. I go and work out in that gym in whatever I'm wearing. I don't have like dedicated clothes for this. I mean, being in my home gym, I can wear whatever I want. And so a lot of times I just go right to there and I'll work out in the Henley. So I really put them through their paces. So I don't think it's worth really investing a lot for my use, but yours may vary. So yeah, yeah. So let me scroll back up here, guys. I really appreciate you being here and talking to me. This is my first time, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, so kind of have a little bit of patience with me here. So my buddy Jawad from Idris is here. Okay, so something interesting about Idris, their price point now is actually below 100 or $300, and they have a lot of Goodyear welted styles out there. So What's really cool is now you're talking about a price point that is much more attainable. I know that just that $300 threshold can really it can change a lot of people's minds. So let's let the cat out of the bag. I am doing a collaboration with Idris where I was able to design a boot, and that boot will be available. And I this will be coming soon. I don't want to, release too much information, but since you're here, if you're one of the, looks like we have a few people watching. If you're one of the 37 people who are watching right now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste of what this boot is because I have it right up here. So hang on one moment. Okay, this is the Idris boot that I designed. Now, you'll notice right away, oh boy, the color isn't great on this. These are actually like an olive color. They're really meant for summer. Most people were asking what I recommended for summer footwear. I think suede is awesome. Most of the time, it's a pretty thin leather because it's actually split and then sanded, so it's thinner. Suede just looks right. It feels right in the summertime, and these right here would be an awesome option. Goodyear welted, true day night sole. That's not a rip off fake, like some other manufacturers used day night sole. So these will be coming soon. I'll be telling you a lot more about these and how you can get yourself a pair very soon. That's coming up, but that's the first time that anybody's ever seen them here. So if you dig the style, then pretty soon you'll be able to get yourself a pair. They're really cool. Again, the color on my monitor here in this little tiny camera doesn't do much justice. When I get to film it with using my regular camera, then it'll actually look the way it's supposed to look. So that will be coming. All right. Yeah, don't stuff your shoes with incontinence diapers. You know what though? All seriousness, they're meant to absorb. If you've ever accidentally washed a diaper, which I have, like a new diaper was like stuck in some clothes, and you take it out, and that thing is full. I mean, they're meant to absorb moisture. If you have diapers laying around that are clean, I assume that it probably would do the moisture wicking much better than almost anything else. What else do we have here? Goodwill, cedar shoe trees, Stetson. Yeah, Stetson's awesome. As a matter of fact, my buddy Dan from Articles of Style has a great Stetson, which is a crushable hat. And as a matter of fact, this one right here, this is the Vesuvio, I believe. Yeah, this is actually from JJ Hat Center in New York. I have to keep my mouth on the mic here so you can actually hear me. The cool thing with crushable hats, though, is that they're just that. You can take this and put it in a backpack and literally crush it down, and it will bounce right back to the normal shape. Uh, these things are awesome. Stetson makes some great ones. Great American hat manufacturer. This one here was made in Italy. It's awesome. I love this one. This is by Stefano hats right there. This is, I believe, the Vesuvio model. They also have it in green, but I love this hat. I wear this in a lot of those photos that I have online and stuff. It's just so comfortable. We'll put that back over there. The mannequin's very well dressed today. Okay, what else do we have? AJ McDonald, thank you. 35,000 is nothing. It's not a small amount. And when I think about in the beginning when I was making videos and I was so excited to get 100 people who watched my stuff, and then when I hit the threshold of 1,000, I mean it was an amazing thing. And to be here at 35,000 is great. And I've said it before, but and it still rings true today that I would rather have a small group of very engaged people, which is why when you take the time to comment, I try to make the time to make sure that I respond. I would much rather have a smaller group of very engaged people than a million people who watch and don't really care. I would prefer having a smaller, more engaged audience. Okay, what else do we have here? Hey, we got somebody from Cromwell, Connecticut. No kidding. Cromwell is cool. I actually used to work as an electrician for a company in Cromwell called Lighthouse Electric. So I wouldn't recommend getting much work done by them. They gave me a van. I was only there for about I think less than a year. They gave me a work van. I went out in it. It needed brakes. And when I left, it still needed brakes. They never ever fixed it. So they're a very um, frugal contractor. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Oh, Tecovas. So everything yo-yo. Check this out. I still have my Tecovas. A lot of people ask about that because mine is the only video out there really doing a review on Tecovas. And everything I say about them in that video is still true today. I will wear them. I really don't wear them that much, maybe once every couple weeks. If the situation is right, but they're still very comfortable. They're really, really nice boot. And I know that there are other brands that are more prestigious, right? So you have Lucchese, you have Justin, I think is a little bit below Lucchese, and then of course you have some very, very decorative cowboy boots, which are just nothing that I would wear, and that you have to be really into Western wear to wear that boot, or just into that look. So the Tacovas have been great, and as a matter of fact, I just picked up. I'm going to disappear for another second. Their new pair, and I'll show you those right here. Boy, it's a good thing I'm wearing pants. I didn't think I'd be getting up as much as I have been. So these are their new pair, and I just picked them up. Matter of fact, I tried them on, wore them around the house. They're not even scuffed up yet. And before I do a full review, I want to actually wear them, experience how they feel and how they wear in. But the build quality is basically the same as the other one. You have the lemonwood pegs in the bottom there, which is a very typical cowboy boot making process. So you could see everything in there. You could even see where they have a shank. I mean, nice leather stacked heel with it's almost a Cuban heel. You can see that has that little. It's not quite a block. Has a little bit of an angle to it, which I really have liked. That's growing on me a lot. The reason that the Tacovas made this model here is because people were having trouble if you have uh, not skinny jeans, but if you have trimmer jeans, say you have like a tapered jean, like my Brave Stars are, it was sometimes hard to fit the cuff over the shaft of the traditional Tacovas. So what they ended up doing was coming out with these, which have a much narrower shaft. And some people were saying, boy, they look like women's boots, blah, 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 blah. When you put them on and you actually put your pant leg over them, they look like cool looking Chelsea boots. And I really like that suede a lot. The zip on the side, the odd thing about zippers on boots is that I haven't had any zippers on any boots since a pair of Harley Davidson boots that I owned a while back. And it's funny because this is the second pair that I've gotten that has a zipper on the side, and I actually forgot how much I like it because it really makes getting in and out of them very easy. I don't know why zippers get a bad reputation. They really do in the boot community. If it's a good quality zipper, I don't know what the problem is. I mean, but anyway, the Tacobas have been great, and I really think that they're doing what Thursday should have done, which is offering them at a really unbeatable price point, and they make them very accessible, and they didn't go too crazy even with their cowboy styles. So they're something that a guy up here in New England can wear, and they look like I said, when your pant leg is down over them, they just look like really cool Chelsea boots. They're not like super decorative or anything like that. So they've been great, and I would not hesitate to recommend them. You're not going to get some fancy horse hide or even Chrome Excel for that matter. Really beautiful leather, but consider the price, right? I mean, everything's about what the value is for the money. Okay, let's working our way down. Okay, so Abdi 4830. Vintage clothing, especially in an estate sale, can be a really a great score. I have a lot of stuff that I've gotten from Goodwill or from estate sales or wherever, and you can find some great stuff. As a matter of fact, leather clothing in particular, it fetches a pretty high price. So if you go someplace where somebody doesn't really know what they have, and you could find a really cool, maybe military style flight jacket that's in great shape and fits you, you can pick one of those things up and don't let the lining scare you away because the lining is usually the first thing to go because it's usually made out of the older ones were silk and then they went to things like nylon and cotton and wool. So it's always that can get worn away. And the cuffs as well. If you have something like an A2 with some knit cuffs, like an elasticized cuff, those things can be replaced very easily. Any good tailor can replace all that stuff. So if you find something leather a coat. I mean, even just anything leather, right? Cool boots or something. A lot of the little details could be very easily replaced. Take a look at the leather, see if it's in really good shape, if it's in decent shape, or at least to the point where you can restore it. You could put some sort of the leather milk healing balm is really good. And then I just picked up some of the Armstrong's all natural boot, or not boot oil, leather oil, and it's meant for leather that doesn't look like it's been conditioned in its life. So you can pick up something like that and restore it, and basically have a new garment that has the cool factor of an older garment. So estate sales and stuff could be great places to get good stuff. Tweeds are another one. They're extremely hard wearing, so you could find a lot of cool older tweeds. What I would recommend though is buying something that even if it feels a little bit big, make sure it fits your shoulders, and then you can get it tailored. There's a lot of things you could change out. You can change out the buttons. You can change the whole silhouette. I actually had bought a jacket, a tweed jacket, and it just didn't fit around my chest. My big problem is up here. I'm kind of like I have a broader chest, right? Just kind of it's a Friday night, Uh, and so I have a very good tailor, and she was able to add 4 inches. She actually took some material off the hem and added it because it was a houndstooth. You couldn't even tell. She added 4 inches into the chest. So sometimes, if you find something that you're really into, find a skilled tailor, and they can do almost anything. So I would check out tweeds, leathers. You can find some really good stuff out there. Okay, what else do we have? Boots made in the Philippines. There's a couple of really good brands that I want to try over there. They just kill you with the shipping. As a matter of fact, there's one that I can't remember what their name was, and they had some Cordovan boots, like monkey boots, which laced to the toe. They looked really cool, but the shipping was extraordinary. I mean, they're coming from the Philippines after all, so I would love to try some boots from the Philippines. The reason I haven't so far is because of the shipping. Okay. Okay, David Bemis, I want to say. Yeah, yeah. So he works in a rough and dirty industry, and if I see a difference of some of the products that I review working better for the office and better for the field. Yeah, definitely. But what I like, and I'm sure what you would like, is things that can do dual purpose. But let's start with your original question, which is there are definitely things which work better in the office and better in the field. Thicker, durable fabrics, like this. This is a tailor stitch flannel that I'm wearing. It's a hard wearing fabric, duck, stuff like that. Denim, leather for the most part is a very hard wearing fabric. So it's better for out in the field. And even really some nylons now. If you work in any kind of construction industry, then you know that we have to wear high vis, and all that stuff is nylon. It's terrible stuff against your skin. But yeah, I like stuff that does dual purpose. When you're in the office, you can get away with a dressed up looking of work version of workwear, which I enjoy. Carhartt has some nice chinos, as believe it or not, that are triple stitched and have all the build quality, but they look like nice chinos. And so those are some of the things that I wear the most because they can do dual purpose like that. Footwear can be tricky depending on the job site you're going to, what they require for safety. So if you have a job site that requires a steel toe, or I've been working on our project on the railroad lately, that requires a composite toe. They don't want you near electricity with a steel toe just because of conductivity. So it can be difficult to walk that line. But thicker, durable fabrics, when they're cut right, can look just fine for the office, depending on how dressed up your office is. Our office requires us to wear ties. So I like to wear things. I mean, a denim shirt with the right, like a burgundy tie, like a knit tie, looks sharp, looks rugged, and it kind of brings some of your character in there, and it's totally appropriate. So it will, unfortunately, depend on the situation either way. How dirty and how rough is your job? Pat, I'm definitely gonna try the 1892 collection of Thorogoods. I would love to. I really would. I just haven't had a chance yet. That's all. Okay. Okay, so Hollow and Friends, 18 years old, and okay. So you're in Italy. Things cost a lot, and to feel confident in what you wear. All right, I think that what you're trying to get across here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is being able to quote unquote pull something off. That's what they say here. I can never pull that off. This hat over here, I can never pull that off. And that's just confidence in wearing what you wear. What I've learned though is it helps to start small. So if you think, maybe I could pull that off, then go for it. All right. So something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone. Let's take these boots for example, these Tecovas, right? A suede boot like that just looks like a fancy dress boot underneath some jeans. You don't have to go full on cowboy. All right. So starting with something that's a little bit more mild like that will help you get your feet wet and help you get that confidence to wear something else. So oftentimes that's what I started doing. And then it doesn't take long before you're known as the sharp dressed guy. I know that I concentrate a lot on rugged wear, but before that, if you remember in the beginning of the channel, anybody who's been with me for a while, you remember that I did a lot of stuff with suits and shirts and ties. And it's important to know when to dress for that occasion. You don't want to go out to get beers with your buddies wearing a three-piece suit when they're wearing, joggers and a t-shirt. It just doesn't look right. You look like you're trying too hard. So dressing for the occasion, Tanner Guzzi actually does a great job of explaining this and talking about the appropriate times to wear things. It's all about context. If you're hanging out with your friends, then you can dress similarly or another notch above, but it all depends on where you are. So it's much easier to quote unquote get away with dressing fancier when you're going to a place like a wedding, right? Or some place where that kind of thing is accepted, a holiday party. Um, but the confidence comes with time too. So don't let me fool you. When I was 18, I would have. I don't think I was wearing any of this stuff. Back when I was 18, I was must have been great. I don't really remember very much, but you're already ahead of the game because you understand the importance of dressing well. At that point, I think I was just in the gym thinking that if I got big and strong, then women would respond to that. And that's not really the case. It's not really the case at all. Your clothes do a much more effective job of explaining that. Plus, no girls really into the. I mean, maybe some, but into the meathead look, which I learned the hard way. Yeah. So if any of the pieces will hold up as I pass them down to my son, if he's the same size, yes, they will. Absolutely. As long as they're taken care of, that would be, cedar, packaging things properly, making sure that they don't get exposed to dampness and get destroyed that way. Moisture will just, if you've ever found something that's been in the basement for a while that's made out of cloth, it will literally fall apart in your hands when you pick it up. So, properly storing things, yes, you can have them for a very, very long time. Sean, I'm sorry you got to get to work, but I appreciate you sticking around and I hope I didn't skip over your question. This will be up later on for if you want to watch it. So if you wrote a question, I will do my best to answer it, even if you can't watch right now. Brad Gross, what is my main job? Well, main job or day job. I've been in construction now for almost 15 years. I started off as an electrician, going through my apprenticeship here in Connecticut. The way it works is you have to do a 4-year apprentice program, followed by or at the same time as 2 years of school. After you're done with that, you can sit for your test, at which point you become a journeyman. Then you can actually work in the field on your own with an apprentice of your own. After that, you can move up to foreman where you're running a crew. So I did that, and I actually had some really great guys, very very fun jobs that we would do, and I mean, we had as much fun as we could on the job, and we got the job done under budget and on time. It was really great. So I actually had an issue with my back, believe it or not, when I was on a job, and it just felt like somebody was stabbing me in the back with a knife. I couldn't explain it. It was terrible. Ended up going to the doctor. Doctor said basically they could do nothing for me. And this kind of touches on something else. They said that they could prescribe me with Oxycontin, and it'd be about 8 months until I get to a specialist. And I said, all right, whatever. I'm in pain. So they ended up giving me the Oxycontin. I took one the next day. I did not like the way I felt on it. I put that on a shelf and left it alone. That is a pretty good indicator of how we've gotten to the point we have gotten to with the opioid epidemic. So think about it. If I had taken that, for 8 months until I could get to a specialist, I could have easily gotten addicted and a lot of other bad things could happen. And that's why you're seeing that shift. So anyway, I wanted to tell you that because when my back hurt, it was a revelation of I can't rely on my physical body to provide me a living. Now, as a licensed electrician, you can make a good living. You could easily earn six figures without a problem, especially in this area. The New York City electricians are, if not the highest paid, one of the highest paid unions in the country. So you can earn a good living. The problem is it really relies on your body to hold up and the ability to do the job. I didn't like that because, as I saw, I could easily be put out of commission, and then that means I can't earn a living. So I decided to go back to school at night. I had begun college and I never finished. I was able to go back at night, and I was going to school at night. I was running jobs during the day, and I ended up getting my degree in uh, business administration. So I wanted to get into doing project management. Ended up taking a job as an assistant project manager. Oh boy, kids are not happy. I ended up taking a job as an assistant project manager, and it was a massive pay cut. But I knew it was almost like shifting gears in your car. You know what I mean? You've reached the end of first gear, now you grab another gear, you shift down to second, and you have the ability to go further. So I was an assistant project manager. The next year, I got a 20% raise because I had really applied myself and gone for it. I spent about 3 years at that company. Now I have transitioned to a very large electrical contractor, one of the biggest in the Northeast, and we do massive projects. 18 months I spent in Monticello, New York, working on a casino up there that we had built from the ground up. And then I now, as I mentioned earlier, work on the railroad. So we do jobs for Metro North Railroad coming out of Grand Central. We are doing a 40-mile cable upgrade for one thing. We're putting a substation in at another, and we're doing a maintenance facility even further up the track. So being in construction management is really interesting because it gets me out in the field, which I enjoy. I put away the tool belt a while ago, um, but I have the ability to see it from the office side and from the field side. The field side's more fun, I'll tell you that much. You get a good crew, and it almost doesn't feel like work. There's more freedom in the office, which is nice. You're not held to the hourly standard because you're a salaried employee. So they both have pros and cons, but I would not I couldn't lie to you and say that there aren't times that I really miss the field. We had a lot of good times out there. Okay, what else do we have? Nito Monte, you know, I love you too. What kind of motorcycle do I have? I have two. But let me start in the beginning because I actually Steve Leopard on Instagram. I put up a thing where it was like a Harley Davidson meme in my Instagram feed, and so I started off. I actually had a Yamaha 250 in high school, and I loved that bike. I ended up selling it for $300, and then I bought a 650 Suzuki one lunger. They called it the Savage at the time. It was this thumper. It was a one cylinder motorcycle. So you'd be going down the road and it'd be a pop, 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 you know, just that one cylinder pumping away. And I ended up putting like a straight pipe on there so it was even louder. And I mean, I just thought I was the coolest thing in the whole world because it has this really cool, like kicked out front end with a 19-inch front spoked rim, and it looks kind of chopper style. And I just love that bike. Rode that thing everywhere. And then I ended up buying a Harley Davidson Dynaglide 99. I ended up buying that sometime in the mid 2000s. I still have that bike. Put a lot of miles on that. Went to Laconia, went to Daytona Beach for Bike Week. I really want to make it out to Sturgis someday. I never have. And then when I met my my wife and we were just dating at the time, she wanted to ride, and the Dyna was not set up for two people to go for very long. So I ended up buying a Street Glide. So I have a Harley Davidson Street Glide, which is a great cruiser, you know, kind of a bagger style, and then my little hot rod Dyna Glide, which is a little rocket ship. I love that bike. A lot of fun. Kind of noisy and obnoxious, but that's how I like it. John Baker, the remodeling project probably will never end. If you own a house, then you know that these things just don't stop. I tore apart the whole second floor. When I started this channel, I was on the guest room on the second floor, and we ended up gutting it completely, taking down. It was wood lath with plaster. The wiring was almost like a history of wiring. I had knob and tube, I had AC, I had BX, I had Romex, I had all kinds of different stuff. Yanked it all out. It was just bare studs. The whole house is actually framed with rough cut lumber. This is an old farmhouse, so it's framed with rough cut lumber, all the way ranging from like that thick to even bigger. Two by fours weren't a thing. They were all cut on site because the house is from the 1880s. So we ended up putting in modern wiring. I rewired the whole place, modern insulation, sheetrock, and redid the original hardwood floors. And now that is my son's room and my daughter's room upstairs. And then we took one of the small bathrooms, converted that to, or small bedrooms, converted it to a bathroom. So now the second floor is almost like their suite. They have their bedrooms and their own bathroom. And they stay out of my hair. I mean, they're 1 and 3, but I think it's going to pay dividends down the road. Right now, though, I'm in our dining room. This is like a thing that you put dishes in and stuff, you know? So I've kind of taken over the front room, the guest room, and the dining room with all my stuff. And I will be moving into that space above the attic that I showed a long time ago, which is a really great big space, about 50 by 30. That will be just for doing YouTube. So I'm really looking forward to that a lot. I haven't had a chance to really do it because last year we added when I was doing the renovation upstairs, we also added central air and heat, recarpeted the living room and poured cement in the basement. It was a very busy year. I can't believe that I made it through. This year I think we're going to slow down a bit, but there's a lot to do still. Okay. Steve Leopard, what's up, man? How you doing, buddy? Taco buddy. Dude, Mexico. I love Mexico. We went on our honeymoon in Mexico for 2 weeks. We ended up getting off of the resort for a little while, going down the cenotes and like you swim. So down in Mexico, there, or at least where we were on the Yucatan Peninsula, there are. I was amazed when we landed. I'm like, it's so flat. There are no hills or uh, lakes or anything. I just never saw anything like it. And I remember asking the guy when we were leaving the airport, like, what's the situation? He said, well, because of the limestone, all of the water is underneath the ground. And so you'll be walking through the woods, right? Like on a hike, and you'll just see a hole and it'll lead down like 30 feet to this fresh water. And so I was like, all right, well, we got to check that out. So we ended up getting off of the resort and we went out and we were able to spend some time with a guide swimming through caves underwater. It was amazing. I would love to go back there. Mexico is awesome. Plus the food was incredible. It really was. I love Mexico. So thanks for watching, man. Okay, so CC about companies that offer a wide toe box. Yeah, I mean, there are some companies that really offer a lot of sizing options. And, when you're talking about triple E width or F or whenever you get into that, sometimes it pays to go custom. And I know I sound like a broken record with this stuff, but White's offers a custom service. Wesco, I believe, does. Nix, of course. When you're talking about a wider shoe, that's the way to go. Idris also offers custom widths. I think up to a very wide width, and so if you need something that's wider, some of these custom companies like Idris or any of those other ones that I mentioned really have a wide variety because they're built to your foot. When you order those shoes, they get built and then sent to you. So you have the option to go wider. You're not just picking something off a shelf, which is one of the problems with a lot of these micro brands is that they have a certain stock which they then pull from to give to you. Yeah. So Brent Evans, I still do like the Gorin Brothers hat, and I have it over there. it's I actually bought the hat box when I got it, and it's a dressier hat, so I wear that with appropriate attire. This one behind me here, this one from Steno, I think it was. That's a little bit more rugged, but it still would go well with most dressed up attire. But yeah, no, the Gorin Brothers hat is great, and that's I think the model called the Doctor. It's made in the USA. I ended up buying it after I went down and visited with Dan over at Articles of Style. It's a great hat. I'd like to do more hat stuff. I really would, but I only have like four. Eric, I haven't checked out the new Thorogood Logger boot. I would like to though. I mean, we are just talking about Thorogood before. The thing that I like about Thorogood is that the people who own them love them. They're almost like Red Wing people. They almost just never that when they have their pair and it fits them well, they don't go with anything else. Word of mouth means a lot. So when a brand has loyalty like Red Wing or Thorogood, there's usually a reason. So I will definitely check out their new logger boot. American Giant is this is Emil Oliver Emil Oliver. Now, Emil Oliver, I'm wondering if that's I have a cousin, Emily Olivieri, which is like two vowels away from your your name. So I'm not sure if that's just her screening or if that's a totally different person. The question is, what do I think of American Giant? I would love to try American Giant. Don't have any of their stuff made in the USA. I think it's their 100-year hoodie is one of their most popular things. I would love to try it. At this point, though, I have such a big backlog. This little whiteboard in back of me here. This is where I get all my thoughts together, and you can see over here. See right there, those colors. Those are all different types of videos. So I don't give you review, or history in a row. I like to break it up. And I have so many products to review right now that I almost can't think of anything else to buy at the moment. I budget a certain amount of money every month to buy things to review. Right now, I'm way behind. If I have to do really 2 videos a week, which is difficult to be able to get on top of this, but I'll get there. Brad Gross, shooting clothes. I've never dressed differently for shooting skeet or anything like that. I know that there are companies that make um, jackets and stuff with a little bit of leather here, so when you hold the butt of the your stock right against your shoulder, it locks into place. There are companies that offer those kind of things for shooting, competitive shooting, 3 gun shoots, but I really don't know enough about them to make a good recommendation. Doug Killian, are there any items that you would sacrifice quality or longevity for price? Yeah, as I mentioned earlier in the video, quality and longevity for things like uh, t-shirts, Henleys, things like that, which I would consider your first layer. I'm cheap on. And it's just the way that I operate. Some people will swear by loop wheeled hoodies and loop wheeled t-shirts and all that stuff. And I'm sure there's something to that. That's usually where I sacrifice quality for price because I'll buy half a dozen, wear them throughout the year, and then they get destroyed and I throw them away and I do the same thing next year. So to me, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because I really do put those things through hell. Paul Kasky, any thoughts on Zamberlin boots? Never heard of them, never experienced them. If there's something worth checking out, please let me know. There seems like there's so many new companies, which I would love to check them all out, but I haven't had a chance to check those out. Wow. Okay, I just skipped way ahead here. Hang on 1 second. Let's go back up to where we were. Okay. Oh boy. Uh, Martin, I hope that the storm in Europe is okay. But my goodness. I hope you're all right. Hope everything's okay. Everybody you know is your family is safe out there in Europe with the storms. We're actually having some rain here too. It's supposed to get pretty nasty tonight, but I actually enjoy the spring and summer thunderstorms. Uh, Mikey or Mickey? No, that'd be Mikey. Mikey Fluid. Had your boots for 2 months, and this time 2 sets of waxed laces have snapped. Will leather laces be more resilient? I've had 2 very different experiences with leather laces. The first ones that I ever had, I liked a lot. They lasted for a long time. The ones on my Knicks have lasted for a very long time. The ones on these MYG handmade, back here behind there, those right there, have lasted for a very long time. Haven't had a problem. I bought these this pair of whites, which are a great boot made out of horsehide. The second time I went to lace these up, one of the laces snapped in my hand. So I've had mixed experiences with leather laces. To White's defense, though, they sent me back 2 pairs of laces in response to my complaint about those. I mean, the second time wearing them and they snapped. Now it is a natural fiber, right? I mean, it's leather, so there are going to be thin parts of the hide. There's going to, depending on where they cut that strip, it might have been a weak section. Totally possible. So that might have been the case, and if that was the case, they did right. They sent me back 2 pairs of leather laces, and I know people who really, really like them because they tend to get better as you use them until they eventually wear out. But people really swear by leather laces. I like them. I like the way they look, especially when they've been used for a little bit and they become more pliable. In the beginning, they're super springy. They're almost harder to tie. But yeah, I would try some leather laces. Give them a shot, and some nice ones at that. Make sure you don't go cheap. Brent, the quality of Gore and Brothers hats, I haven't had a problem. I'm sure that somebody out there will tell me that there are, rabbit fur hats, which just, blow these out of the water. But this was an under $200 hat. And so it wasn't anything really that expensive, but it fits well. It looks nice. It's felt. So, it does kind of catch a lot of things, like lint and dust. But I like it a lot. It looks good. Um, it's probably a mid-range hat. I don't really know enough about it. I would like to go to Optimal Hats when I go out to Chicago next month. Check them out. I know they have some of the best Panama hats going right now. I would like to try some more high-end stuff, so maybe I'll take a trip out to JJ Hat Center in New York pretty soon and bring you guys with me. Lucas Elliott, Summer Lookbook: How to Be Rugged in Summer Wear. Yeah, that's a really good idea. It's a very good idea. I would like to do that. So when it comes to rugged, uh, I'm not sure that I really subscribe to the idea that some things are rugged and some things aren't. I think it's more in the way that you wear them. And the way that I arrived at this style wasn't trying to pursue rugged wear. It was me trying to fit my lifestyle, which is pretty active and also, working, right? So a lot of times I needed things that were durable. So I was attracted to more durable fabrics and more durable things. And that's why in the beginning, when I was doing a lot of stuff on suits and ties, it didn't feel like a lie, but I was like, I like to dress like this whenever I can, but for the most part, I'm dressing in things that like I wear now because that's the way that'll fit my lifestyle. I would blow through like a poplin shirt, if I was going to wear that in the garage. But for the summer, I don't think I'll ever do a lookbook style video. It's just not my thing. But I could definitely give you options and the way I dress in the summertime. A lot of times I like to go with lightweight chinos, um, what was it, linens, thinner fabrics, more airy fabrics. You can still do that and you can still look rugged or at least get the rugged feel. As I mentioned earlier, suede boots look awesome with that kind of stuff. They have a lighter look to them, with that texture. They're not as heavy as some thick leather boots. So yeah, no, it's a great video and it's gotten requested a lot, which tells me that you guys want to see it. Your wish is my command. I will be making that video without a doubt. Branching out of boots and bags. I've gotten sort of typecast into doing boots and bags. In the beginning, it was all about bags because I was looking for a briefcase. What happened was I tried out a ton of them. I did the reviews, then I became known as like the leather bag reviewer. Same thing happened with boots. I was looking for new ones. I started reviewing them. Now it's about boots. The cool thing is that I get to dive in really deep and talk to people and talk to makers and figure out how these things are made and learn things about them that even if you have an interest in this stuff, maybe you don't know. For example, a Goodyear welt. A Goodyear welt is not always a Goodyear welt, right? I mean, let me rephrase that. It's a little confusing. A Goodyear welt is performed by a Goodyear machine. That's what is that's a Goodyear welt. The way it's attached to the inside or the midsole of that boot is through a couple of different methods. Now you can find most companies, even high end companies like Brian the Bootmaker, use a process called gemming, where it's basically a piece of canvas that's run around on the inside, and that's what's stitched to the outside, right? That's actually glued to the midsole. Now it's Allen Edmonds uses this. A lot of companies use this same process. It's not going to fall apart on you. Another tier above that is companies like Viberg, who actually use a channeled midsole, and then that's what gets stitched to the outside. Now, what they're using is actually the same thing a lot of cowboy boots use, which is a pre-manufactured channeled insole. When you're talking or outsole, I'm sorry, midsole, third time's a charm. But when you're talking about something like these MYGs here, these are hand welted and they have a hand carved midsole, which is all again done by hand. Hence why it's a hand carved midsole. So all this stitching here is all done by hand. Everything that's on the inside, which I have a lot of cutaways and pictures of him making these, is done by hand, and that's why that process takes 4 to 5 hours. Whereas a Goodyear welt, if you ever see a video of a Goodyear welt being done, takes a matter of minutes. So a Goodyear welt is not a Goodyear welt, and it's not necessarily the best. And people, tend to hold Goodyear welt up here because of marketing, where it's really depending on the use. A Blake stitch, there's nothing wrong with a Blake stitch. Now, there's no such thing as a Blake welt. It's a Blake stitch because of the way it's made. There is no welt. But if you're looking for a flexible, comfortable, lightweight shoe or boot, a Blake stitch boot is there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody needs a weatherproof boot. They can both be resoled. Now, because of a Blake stitch being on the inside of the shoe, you need special equipment to do it. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to do it by hand. So, um, those kind of things most people don't get into. But because it's my responsibility to do the research before I do a good review. I make sure that I really get into the details. I spent 2 hours the other day talking to the guy from MYG Handmade, going over things that I didn't quite understand about the way he made things and why he does them, so that I can tell you in a 7 to 10 minute video why it's worth the extra cost. And I'm into it. I love it. I'm not trying to make it seem like it's a burden. I absolutely love it. That's why I do it. So it's very interesting. It's a great thing to be into. What happened with the Beckett Simonon boots? I never had any Beckett Simonon boots. I had considered ordering some at some point. I have their hole cut shoes, which are beautiful and wonderful. And somebody asked the other day if I would recommend them over a pair of Allen Edmonds seconds, and I still say that I would. They're really really nice shoes. Who makes the best motorcycle boots? Well, when it comes to a motorcycle boot, what you want is slip resistance when you put your feet down, especially when you're standing on maybe a crosswalk and they have those painted lines. That gets really slippery, especially if it starts to rain. Riding back from Lake George one time, I got caught in the rain. So the biggest thing is slip resistance, so that when you put your feet down, you don't go down too. The second thing is you want something that's durable. In case you do go down, it'll protect you. And I'll tell you what, these pair right here, these are the prototype for the Knicks that we'll be doing. They won't be exactly like this. This is just kind of an idea. These will be my riding boots this year. You have 14 inches of protection up here with very, very thick leather. And if you want to talk about slip resistance, look at that sole. I mean, it's pretty massive. So, uh, you know, it's interesting because engineer boots like those were really co-opted from train engineers who back in the day would wear tall boots so that when they were shoveling coal into the train, the coal wouldn't go down to the front of their boots, or if it came out, it wouldn't burn through the laces. And that's why a laceless boot is called an engineer boot. It began on the railroad, and then it became a motorcycle thing. The other thing with a laceless boot, like an engineer or a cowboy boot, is that there's no place for the air to blow through, or if you are riding through water, it won't come through the front where the lacing is. So there's um there's a couple of different options. I've owned two pairs of Harley Davidson boots, which were okay, uh, but the biggest thing, slip resistance and protection. Okay, Vibram soles, ASAM Blast. Uh, Okay, thoughts on Vibram soles? Haven't worn them since you replaced your army issue boots when you were in the service back when. The heel on the army issued boots killed your back. First of all, ASAM Blast, thank you for your service. I so Vibram is one of the, if not the largest maker of soles out there. And I contacted them a while back asking if I could kind of pick their brain on some of their more popular styles. They have so many different types of soles. And the way they began is really, really interesting. I think I covered that in my guide to soles, but you could find anything. You could find softer soles. As a matter of fact, I on the Allen Edmonds Long Branch, they use a softer Vibram sole, which is almost a little spongy. It's a commando looking sole, but it's a little softer, and they feel like sneakers to wear in. Now they wear down quicker because of the softer compound, but Vibram is such a large company with such a large offering. You could probably find a sole to fit your needs, and that's all they do. All they do is Vibram soles. So if you want to have an existing pair of boots resoled with some of those, you can easily do it. Another company that I would check out if you're looking for places to get soles from is Dr. Soles. Brian the Bootmaker's soles are from Dr. Soles. They're very cool looking, very, very different. You know, if you want some cat's paw or like a retro thing on there, you can do that. Some really interesting stuff. Honey glazed ham. When was the last time I legitimately wore out a pair of boots? That would be my current set of hiking boots, which are done. They're toast. They're from a company called Oboz. I bought them at REI a while back, and they were excellent. They were really great, but the amount of hiking that I did, I they're flat on the bottom. They have no more traction. That is, they need to be replaced. And what I'm looking at right now is the Viberg. They actually ended up swapping designs with the people from Danner a while back. So Viberg has a boot that looks very much like a Danner boot, which I would like to try. The only thing I'm worried about is the cut top because hiking requires a lot different footwear. So I want something with a padded top. So especially over longer hikes, it doesn't become, an irritant. So yeah, my oboes, which are now worn out. But as I mentioned earlier, right now I have such a rotation of footwear that it's really hard for me to wear anything out. Going from the Taft Dragons to the Tecovas to my Iron Rangers to the Mock Toes to my Knicks to the MYGs to the Whites, and then include in that the ones that I'm actually reviewing and then making notes on as I'm reviewing them. It's not tiresome. It's not hard work. I enjoy it, but it means that not much gets very worn out anymore. I love your name, by the way, Honey Glazed Ham. That's really cool. Uh, Edward Pace, you got your Knicks in. Yeah, they are definitely beasts. Um, yeah, the Knicks casual boot, like their Robert or their Falcon boot, I really want to try. I know that they're built with the same level of detail and build quality. As a matter of fact, if you remember, I had that cutaway in my review of the Knicks boot, which was a cutaway of the Robert boot. So their casual line of boots are built very much the same way that their rugged work boots are, with the same build quality and the same 4 layers of oak tanned leather, and I mean all that good stuff. I would love to try some. Just right now, number one, I don't have the funds to do it because I just spent a lot of money on other stuff to review, and secondly, I just don't have the time to give them a proper review. I want to go through a couple of these other things, the whites and the MYG handmaids. I have the new Dragon 2.0, which I have to review. The Tecovas. So I have a couple of things that I got to get out of the way first. And once the funds replenish a little bit, I would love to get into a pair of Knicks casual boots for sure. Plus, they're really cool guys. I mean, the people over there are really, really cool. Chris Zeitz. I recognize you. Dude, you comment a lot of stuff. I really appreciate seeing you. And when you comment on something, it's always a thoughtful comment. So I know exactly who you are. And again, thanks for your support, man. Really appreciate it. Denim jackets. Yeah. So my problem with denim jackets is like I said, I have a broader chest and I have kind of thicker arms. So when I tried on Levi's vests or jackets, I would put them on and I would like feel like I'm gonna like bust through them. You know what I mean? I couldn't even like bend my arms all the way, which is kind of it's just always been a problem. That's just the way I'm built. So I wasn't able to get one. I really want to find a good denim jacket and I haven't been able to find one. I don't know if I'll have to go custom. I might. I don't want to drop $400 on an Ironheart, a type 2 if it's not going to fit right. So I got to go out, I got to try them on. I have to really experience them in person before I can do any of that stuff. So, let's see what else we have here. Abdi 4830. You're in Waterbury? Oh man. Yeah, okay, that's where the estate sale is. Okay, cool. Waterbury, the home of Timex watches, and as a matter of fact, their new Documents watch collection, I think they have 4 different colorways, is being made in Waterbury again with a Swiss movement. And I'm excited about that. It's great, but it's $500. And really, if you're looking for an American made watch, you could do better than $500. The movement in that watch, even though it is a Swiss Ronda quartz, it's like $28. So to mark it up that much without a sapphire crystal, they're using Gorilla Glass instead. I think it's a bit expensive. So I like the fact that it's honoring Waterbury and Connecticut and stuff like that. That's cool, but let's be realistic here. An Orient or something like that is a better watch for the money. Oh man, ordinarily dapper. What's up, buddy? Yeah, man, you got to get back in the YouTube game. You made some videos early on. I mean, when we were both at a very low subscriber number. Thanks for watching, man. You got to get back out here and start doing this. Your kid is adorable, by the way. Saul Morin, do I recommend saving up for John Lofgren boots or buying cheaper Red Wings and having them relasted for around $150 for engineers? Well, I mean, it'll depend on your financial situation. The John Lofgren last is very similar to the Iron Ranger last. So without the bulbous toe, I mean, we're talking about the shape of it, right? Not the shape of the actual shoe, because the profile of his boot, I think, is one of the prettiest on the market, and you can get them custom in your choice of material. So if you're going to get something like a horsehide, like a shinky horsehide, I think it's worth saving up for a John Lofgren boot. If you're not, then yeah, I mean, Red Wings are cool. They just don't have the exclusivity, and they don't have there's a certain there's a certain look to that profile, the John Lofgren engineer, that I find really, really appealing. As a matter of fact, I ended up going in on that Standard and Strange horsehide engineer boot back in the wintertime, which should be getting here in June or July. I'm really looking forward to it. I think that the John Lofgren boots are a bit expensive for what they are. At the same time, it's very hard to find something that's comparable. So, if you could afford it, yeah, man, John Lofgren. If you're actually going to use it as a work boot, go Red Wing. Brad Gross, eat boots under $150, but he meant best boots. I would definitely not eat boots, and I wouldn't recommend it, Brad. But best boots for under 150 bucks, Clark's, the Clark's desert boot, no doubt about it. Zach Mitchum, have I ever tried or heard of chalk mark style? Best look on a custom suit has ever seen. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, um, it's a definitely a look. The chalk stripe, it's definitely a look. If you dig it, I think it's awesome. Um, it's definitely a bold statement, though. Yeah, I think they're really cool. I don't have anything like that, but I know AOS just released a maybe it was last collection, a chalk stripe. Okay, I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing your name. I believe it's Russian, but actually it might be. Well, it's Eastern European. Yes, I do wear watches. As a matter of fact, what I've learned about myself with watches, though, is that I either like affordable, fun, cheap watches. Like Timex is a great example. When it comes to higher end stuff, I have a fewer higher end watches. When I got this Oris Aquis, though, I stopped wearing any watch that was in the higher end that I have in favor of this. I'm just in love with it. I've had this for about a year now, and it's the one of the only watches that I wear. Occasionally, I wear my Timex Waterbury Red Wing, which I really like, but this is just it fits my wrist great. I have like these gorilla wrists, if you can tell here. I mean, that's a 43 millimeter, and I have big wide wrists. So when it comes to like a 40 millimeter on my wrist, it gets lost. 38 looks like a lady's watch. So this is a 43 millimeter. I love everything about it. The strap on this smells like vanilla. Like it's not even that's the way they made it. I'm not making that up. I know it sounds crazy. The strap smells like vanilla. I love this watch and everything about it. So until I get tired of this watch, I see no reason to buy another. And that's kind of like that's sort of what I'm trying to preach here in a way is buy something that's great that you can take care of that's high quality and you won't need anything else. I have not desired another watch since I got this one. Hollow and friends, thank you, man. I really appreciate you watching and commenting and taking the time to be here with me doing this. Thanks a lot for your support. Drop me a line anytime, bro. Haley Baldwin, you are all over the place here. There's a goose on YouTube right now. All right. Okay, Haley, you Haley, if you're gonna be okay, let's see here. We're gonna go ahead and remove Haley. Goodbye. If you're looking at this, she's going nuts about a goose that had 6 eggs. I don't know what your deal is here, but yeah. See, this is what happens though. You know, some people are watching, and then you get people like that who are a real pain in the ass. So You are no longer welcome. I'm going to find out what I can do here. Ah, hide user on this channel. That's what I do with messages that are automatically quarantined because they have certain language in them. The way I treat this is like a store. Okay, so if this is my shop and you walk in, I'm going to do my best to greet you, to try to, see if there's anything I can do for you, what your thoughts are on what I'm doing. If you were to walk into my store and start being a pain in the ass, I would grab you by the collar and throw you the fuck out. That's what we're going to do. This is the first time I've cursed on a video. I'm sorry. Uh, that's what I do. So I'm sorry if you come out here and you start using that kind of language. Goodbye. Patrick. Oh boy. You see, this was going on down here, and I had no idea. I don't even know who Haley Baldwin is. What is the situation here? My goodness. Um, Alex Ramos. I have never been to Europe. I want to go though. My my ancestors are from Belgium and Poland and Italy. And I would love to go to those places and see where they came from. I would really, really like to do that someday. Just haven't. And now that we have kids, it's kind of difficult. So Jay Clayton, thanks for watching, man. Really appreciate it. I may seem like a good stand-up guy, but I'm maybe I'm not. No, just kidding. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you watching. I'm sorry I didn't get to your comment earlier. I was too busy flapping my gums about something else. So she was talking about Canada Goose. I blocked her, so everything she wrote was just, oh my god, wow. She was really going to town here. All right, okay. It's funny. I mean, I deleted her so her messages are gone, but I would have liked to see what she was saying just to see what kind of craziness people are spewing. That's a good sign though. If people are like trolling you or whatever, that's always a sign that you're on the right path, because if nobody's paying attention, indifference is the opposite of love. It's not hate. So, um, when you're getting hate, it's still an emotion, and people don't hate on channels that nobody cares about. So I take that as a sign of pride. So, uh, Shabdo Music, my AOS videos. I would love to make more. So here's the thing with AOS, and I try to like tread this line really carefully. This is the whole thing with AOS, is I read AOS and the style blogger every day, especially when Dan was writing a lot and I had no idea who he was. Then when I had the chance to go to New York and visit their shop, it was awesome. And I was really, really humbled. I got to go out there and talk to Dan and realize how cool he was. And then I think they had an event and I went out there again. And after a little while, you kind of develop a rapport with people. So I consider him and the AOS team friends now, but I started out as a fan of theirs because they were, and they might still be, the biggest menswear blog on the net. Really, really cool stuff. So they're also trying to do the best, make the best garments that they can from the best materials, and I support that wholeheartedly. So they're cool people. They share the same vision and the same goal. It's really great. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, Rod 79. I don't know what her situation was. She's nuts, but I recognize you too, man. I've seen you in the comment section. Thank you a lot for commenting. Um, don't worry about these haters. There's gonna be more of them, and you can't let them affect you very much. Zach Mitchum, trying to get into the menswear space as a career. It depends what you mean. And if you're talking about the influencer type of thing, I would advise against it, just because right now trying to be a menswear influencer, it's an extremely crowded space. If you're looking to get into menswear in general, there are a lot of different ways you can do it, either as a retailer or as a producer or as a shop owner. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you could do. There's a lot of like copycats out there from the guys who were doing it in the beginning, the influencers, and I know I would be considered an influencer, I suppose, is a very crowded space. I don't particularly like the idea. I think the way it's been adopted and the connotations that go along with influencer are kind of they're not that great. So anyway, but getting into the menswear space, you can do it. The best thing to do is to find a niche, find something that's a very small niche that's underserved, and go for that. The way Brock over at Modest Man did the same thing with guys who were under, I think it's 5'6". Great, great way to do it. Favorite watchmaker? I want to try Weiss. Weiss is a out of Los Angeles, California, and they make their own movements. Really cool stuff. I'd like to try them out, but this Oris is awesome. I still Oris is at the top of my list. I know they're not like the most prestigious or whatever, but I love it. Max Kraus, I hope I answered your question. Favorite watch company? Yeah, I like Oris because they have a great older history, so watch enthusiasts really like them for the most part, unless they're really snobby. And they're also are mostly work watches that are meant to do a certain thing. So they're not fashion watches that are supposed to look like a dive watch. They're an actual dive watch. I don't dive, but I like the way it looks. So all of their stuff is based around a purpose, and I like that. It's just feels like an honest way to go. Savvy Life Strategies, another guy who I see in the comments a lot. It's great to see you here, brother. I can't believe I'm at 35,000. At 35,000 and then this last week, 500 more subscribers. I don't know where that came from, but it's in dribs and drabs, you know what I mean? So you can't get too tied up in the numbers, but I am grateful for them. No doubt about it. Yeah, John Nathan Shopper. The Long Branch sole is spongy, but if you're someone who has knee issues or back issues, sometimes that could be a welcome thing. Not everybody wants like a really stiff sole, so it depends on what you like. If you like the softer sole, or if you like the idea of a little bit less shock on your joints, it could be a great option, depending on what your what your needs are. I'm gonna try Johan Su. I'm gonna really butcher your last name there, buddy. It's good to see you. How you doing? John Nathan Chopper, I would not work in the Iron Rangers. I just wouldn't. You could. The Iron Ranger was developed for the people on the Minnesota Iron Range, but it was also developed back in the 40s when footwear was still sort of and it still is an evolving thing. But right now, I would wear them out in the garage to do certain things, but to do any kind of real work, I wouldn't wear them. There are people who do, but I would go for a more dedicated work boot just because you get the utility, you know? Oh, you hurried home from work? You're a Giam 71? Hey, better late than never. No worries about that. John Nathan Shopper, favorite coffee? It's a place near me called the Coffee Trade, and they roast it all in house. The guy has a really cool story, which is he was some like office bigwig. Decided one day he wanted to chase his passion, moved here to Connecticut, learned to roast coffee, and now he makes some of the best coffee that I've had. I'm sure there are places that might disagree, but I love them. NM, thank you very much. 35,000 is a lot of people. Lee denim jackets, yeah, and as a matter of fact, I really have to do a video on the Lee Rider jacket. That has a great place in history, just like the Levi's trucker jacket does. Functional, warm, and stylish winter boots, mutually exclusive terms. Hmm. No, you could find some warm ones, especially ones with a shearling line boot. Rancourt made some this last year that I really wanted to try. Shearling is extremely warm. Rancourt is made in Maine and they look great. So there are some companies which offer things like that. That's what I would go for a warm boot. No doubt about it. TCB denim jackets. I'll definitely check them out. Eber Castillo. Uh, I'll definitely try them out. Scott, East and West. That gets me all the time. My best friend lives out in LA and I can't seem to get it quite right. Honey glazed ham. I love that name. It's so awesome. Chalk Mark Style is a brand. Okay, I'm sorry about that, Zach Mitchum. I thought that you were talking about a chalk stripe suit. In that case, no, Chalk Mark. I have not checked them out, but I certainly will. As a matter of fact, I'll make sure that I write that down because that's a pretty neat pretty neat names, so I'll make sure that I check them out. Oh, Emil Oliver. Okay, okay. Oh, no. Okay, so you're in local 3. No kidding. Very cool. Yeah, local 3, again, very high paid guys over there, so I'm sure you can afford, American Giant stuff every day of the week. Guys, when I was talking about this other stuff, yeah, there was a whole issue with Haley going on down here. I don't know who that was, but whatever. Yeah, I don't mess around with trolls hanging around here. BS. Okay, so the Stafford boots, the J.C. Penney boots, are they good daily? Edward Pace writes. Yeah, you could. I mean, they don't get anything twisted though. They are $50 to $100 boots, and they're comfortable. I wouldn't want to spend all day on my feet in them, but I definitely wear them more than I thought I would because they're very flexible, very comfortable. But you don't have a whole lot in the sole to support your foot and give you the kind of cushion that you would need if you were somebody who was standing on your feet all day. Let's say that you're a somebody who works at a funeral home, greeting people and doing a lot of things that are on your feet, or in the restaurant industry, the service industry. I wouldn't go with the Stafford boots at all. They just don't have the support that you're going to want. Have I traveled to JP before? I believe. Do you mean Japan? If so, I haven't, but I would love to because there are a lot of great makers over there. Japan is doing Americana arguably better than America is right now. There are some awesome makers over there that I really would love to check out. And if I lived on the West Coast and it was a quicker flight, I would definitely do that. But right now, I have to fly across my own country to pick up a connecting flight to get to Japan. But I would love to do it one day. I've heard that Tokyo is an amazing place to be. I would absolutely love to experience it one day. I really, really would. The Cavalier. I'm happy to see you here, brother. John and I are going to be doing some fun stuff in the future. I don't want to say too much about it yet. Casual cool dude. Hello, from Philly. Do I have any opinion on the Daniels NYC briefcase? It's always advertised on Instagram. So okay. Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I bought one. It came in 2 days ago because I saw them advertising before one of my videos, and I want to do a review on them, which I will be doing. And it's not going to be a great review. Uh, Here's the thing, though. Again, they're trying to get in at a price point, which I believe is still under $200. It's like $190. For that price, there's certain things that you can't expect them to have vegetable tan leather with burnished edges and solid brass hardware, all the stuff that you're going to see in these higher end bags. You got to accept that it's going to be a cheaper bag. However, I bought a bag that was $89 off of Amazon. It was one of the first reviews I ever did. This is on par with that. I still think it's overpriced, but I will be doing a full review. I have it in my hands. Yes, I will be doing a review on Daniels NYC, no doubt about it. They've been really pushing for um, a lot of marketing, so yeah, they deserve a full review, no doubt about it. Any good store recommendation in the Tokyo and Osaka area? Stores, I'm not really sure about, but I would definitely check out Red Cloud boots. They are made in Japan. There are a lot of other brass. Boy, what is it? I'm having a hard time thinking of it right now. Um, I mean, there's a lot of places in Tokyo. A lot of really, really good shoe and boot makers over there. Very impressive stuff. Very impressive stuff. And I'll do my best to remember what they were. I'm just having a hard time right now coming up with the names of the place. Store that sells vintage old style military leather jackets in the Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New York area. I would love to find one, and if you do, please let me know. In New York City, there are plenty of vintage shops. The problem is most of the time they really increase their prices beyond what you're going to want to pay because oh, you're in a vintage shop in New York City. Uh, but yeah, I mean, a lot of times the best way to find a good score is to dig. So military surplus shops, places like that, or even thrift stores, best place to find something for a deal, because a lot of times these vintage guys think that just because it says vintage before it, you have to add another, couple $100. It's not the case. Shabdo Music. You're gonna go watch Aaron now. That's cool. Listen, I have no hatred to Aaron at all. Aaron's a friend of mine, and he just hit 5 million subs. He's a really good guy. The person that you see on screen there, that's really pretty much who he is, except he's a little less animated in person. But he's been very helpful to me, very generous with his time, and he's somebody that I feel like I can reach out to at a moment's notice. And he's been a great guy. I really can't say enough about Aaron. A few of these other guys who were up on top, not so much. But Aaron is an excellent, excellent person. He really is. Honda game, dude. I see you in a lot of the videos too. Again, thank you very much. I don't have a chance to say it in person to you, but thank you for your comments and watching and being supportive. I see the taillights of that Honda, and I know that this guy's watching my videos is really really cool. Levi's made and crafted. Joshua Godinez. I never experienced them. I'm sorry. Ah, you enjoyed the peacoat and the military inspired jacket videos. I have a couple more coming. I have to do the military jackets, flight jackets that were after the leather jacket era. So the M1A, that kind of style, that will be coming as well. So if you like that, there's more coming your way. And I have the shot perfecto history coming as well. Shabda Music, Caterpillar, the boots. I know people who like them. I had a pair. I didn't think they were that great, but there are people who I work with who like the cat boots. And I'm not really sure who actually makes them. I have a hard time believing that Caterpillar is actually making them themselves. I would imagine that they're having a company like Timberland or similar do like a white label for them to put their own stuff on. I don't see Caterpillar, and I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I don't think Caterpillar has a factory they're making these boots in, but people do like them. Yeah, Christian Perez. I am. I live in Farmington, Connecticut, which is central. This town is known mostly for some historic buildings and the fact that Mike Tyson, MC Hammer, and 50 Cent all had the same house in Farmington, which just got sold again. So who the heck knows who's going to live in there? There's a big brass statue of Mike Tyson out front, and so if you are looking for a house with a brass statue of Mike Tyson, I got a place for you. It's huge. This place is insane. Yeah, Max Cross. I'm definitely a tool watch guy. No doubt about it. I like stuff that has a function. Duluth Pack, Andre Chen. They're supposed to be great. I would like to try them. From what I understand, they give the Filson bags a run for their money. So I would like to try them out. Again, I just haven't had the opportunity yet, but I'll get around to it at some point. I've heard people ask about that before. Okay. All right, guys. Looks like we are to the end of the questions here. So let's see. What time are we looking at? Oh my god, I have been talking to you for almost an hour and a half. Oh my goodness. There's still a bunch of you guys watching, so I really appreciate you watching this, tuning into the live stream, listening to me talk for a while, and I actually figured it out, which is really cool. Oh. Hey, buddy. Yeah. Here's this guy here. So this is my son. He's just hanging out, and it's time for him to go to bed. So who's that? Who's that? You see? All right. Here. Here. uh, Pat and everybody who battled Holly while I was going through these photos. While I was going through these questions. No worries about it at all. He's coming in with his cheeks. Boy. What did give Nick's give me on the boot deal? Nothing. I get a pair of the boots that we end up making for myself. besides that, it's the ability to work with another brand, which is really, really cool. I'm excited to see how that works out. All right, you guys. Well, that's it for me. It's been an hour and a half. Unless there's anybody else who has a question that I haven't answered or wants to keep me up any later. But I really appreciate you guys watching. 35,000 is no small amount. It's been a lot of fun getting here. The most enjoyable part though has been being able to speak to you guys in the comments and the emails and everything that just being able to know that there are other people out there who are into this kind of stuff, like it's really, really cool. If you're like me, people around you, you can't really talk to about this kind of thing. I mean, a lot of times your guy friends, they're not into style or whatever, so it can be kind of a lonely thing. But talking to you guys in the comments and stuff has been really, really great. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will keep making videos. You guys keep suggesting them, and I'll try to do my best to make the videos that you want to see. So thanks a lot for watching. I'm gonna try to figure out how to get out of this thing. Have a good night, guys.